We'd like to start out by thanking our valuable sponsors. Sense of Satisfaction by Cricket is the place for all your fragrance needs. Plus, she's got products to heal what ails your skin and your hair. Shop at sensebycricket.com. Special thanks to our valued sponsor, John Travis, a financial coach and certified Kingdom advisor with Richard Young Associates, a registered investment advisor. Thanks goes to Anna Patterson, my sister in the Lord who faithfully gives to this ministry every month. And to our newest sponsor, LaToya Gerard of Preach the Word Worldwide Network. She is a valued sponsor and a major encourager regarding this ministry. We need and would love to have you as a sponsor. Absolutely no gift is too small. Please note the info regarding giving throughout and at the end of the show, and help us spread these testimonies around the world. Please note that the views and opinions expressed on this show are not necessarily the viewpoints of our sponsors. It's time to hear the story, make the connection, learn the lesson, and gain the wisdom. Are you ready? Let's get charged and be changed. The Sister Speak Brother Break Show. Conversations on grace, healing, and deliverance. This is Marcy Bush. Come on, let's journey together. Reminded of it even while you were speaking. You know, there's a lot of times when so the pressure from people is often related to who we're connected to as our parents or whatever. However, the enemy knows your destiny. The enemy knows what you're called to. And so while the pressure from people might be, this outward thing that they want, the enemy is after destroying who you are and your view of yourself.
Right.
So that he doesn't have that to contend with.
So I will take all that. I was, at the time, I think I was struggling. I wouldn't say I was struggling with identity, but how other people reacted to what I was doing, that's how it became part of my identity. Everybody thought I was funny because I was doing funny stuff. Well, I was doing things, So I always can classify myself as I'm funny because everybody thought I was funny. But really, I was just doing silly stuff and people would laugh at the silly stuff I was doing. So I wasn't really funny, but I became part of my identity that later I had to tear down in life because I'm not really, like, maybe I'll say jokes and somebody will laugh at it, but my wife won't laugh at anything I say. But so that became part of my identity that later on, maybe we'll get into that later on. I had to tear all that stuff down that folks that I attached to my identity and become this new person that God had a vision, that God visioned for me to be.
Yes.
So it was really interesting coming up in middle school with the being a preacher's kid.
Right. Were you able to, even I guess outside of school, were you able to kind of, how do I put it? I know I snuck around and did a lot. Like I definitely wasn't cussing in front of mama and daddy, but I could have been like, I could have won awards for cussing probably. But like that was a hobby in middle school, high school, college. That was a hobby. But I bet you wasn't doing it around mama and daddy.
Oh no, no. And we learned the skill too. And that's how I always knew I could control it. Because and a lot of people say that's just who I am. That's just how I talk. But you can control it because once you get around certain folks, I bet you them cuss words don't come out.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you control it around them, you can control it anywhere else.
Exactly.
But we used to practice it. It was like a skill,
Yeah. And like you said, and even as we're talking, it's like, but what cursing, but what? And most of the time it was for a reaction.
Yeah.
Just to add some more into what I'm saying to get it wasn't. Yeah. And like you said, it's not even who you are, but it's what you see grabs, it causes you to have something different or something. It's the funny thing. And so that's what we end up doing. Again, not we may not do it just as as
Mm-hmm.
ourselves by ourselves, but because it becomes a habit, you do.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's to fit in. It's
It's,
to mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
wanted to fit in the group. There was a group that I thought was cool, and I wanted to be with that group. And then I eventually I was invited in that group. We was hanging out. We'd do crazy stuff together. I remember it was myself, me, who was it? CJ, Therese, Feeny Bug, Demetrius Claggin. That was another one. We used to we used to cut up all the time. Everybody knew they was in a class with Joseph,
Okay.
Demetrius Claggin, and CJ and Therese and all them. They knew they was gonna have a good year. Yeah,
Okay. Okay. Maybe not the teacher, but
yeah,
the classmates.
yeah, yeah.
Teachers probably reading the roster and crying.
I knew she was. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. How did your parents handle knowing that you were like, I guess, dabbling and delving into things
Mm-hmm.
that they know they didn't raise you to do. They didn't raise you to be that way.
Yeah.
How do you feel? Their how did they respond to that?
They would whoop us. They would like, I mean, not aside of just you do bad stuff, you get a whooping, and then
Mhm.
we live. Nobody could hear you holler. They just take us outside and tear us apart.
Okay.
The time that was, I would say, I would go as far as say, if that was to happen now, probably somebody would call police and that'd be child abuse. But
Right.
but then it wasn't, and everybody knew that.
Hmm.
Uh, like I said before, my dad would come up to the school and tear us up. Me and my brother, and whenever we cut up and we see that truck, they painted it. They hand painted it red and white. And you could see it a
You said
mile
they hand painted it red and
away.
white.
Red
Okay.
and white. You can see that coming up. You know you in for
My daddy's was blue and white. So I
it. Yeah, and then another thing that my dad being a pastor, um, and us being sitting on the front row,
hmm
he'll get those while he's preaching. He'll look over there, and we was always an example in this story. We was always in the message.
Yes.
So the whole
Yes.
church would know what Joseph was doing in school.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
brother was doing in school, or what Vicky did.
Mhm.
Compared to anyone else that was in the church that was doing bad. They wasn't on display, but we was always on them. So it was kind of a sense of embarrassment.
Yeah.
Goodness, here we go. Daddy preaching on us again.
hmm Right.
So it was they used to reward also, I remember that. And then they used to reward everyone in front of the church that would get the A honor roll principals list, AB honor roll.
hmm
And I was never there. My brother my brother was on that pew, and then my dad would look right at us and be like, "See, when you do good, you good things come to you."
Uh-huh. Right.
We never got it, we never got it,
Mm-hmm.
but we're
And
doing good now.
yes, 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 yes. So how do you, because I know even for me, with my parents, now looking back, I understand why they did a lot of what they did, said a lot of what they said. And I guess for me, a lot of it was even unsaid. I think Jaquel and I kind of talked about that. A lot
Mm-hmm.
of, for us, a lot of it was unsaid, but either it was expected or we felt that it was expected. And
Mm-hmm.
so it did put that pressure. It put pressure there. And it's pressure isn't always a bad thing.
Right.
Um, Expectations are not bad things. They help guide your life. They help give you those bumpers and those lines.
Mm-hmm.
Looking back though, because a lot of times children read things differently. You know,
there are certain times that a parent has, how do I put it? So a parent has a certain, they have a reason they're doing it or saying it. And
Mm-hmm.
they have a particular, there's a motive behind what they do, good motives, but sometimes children read it the wrong way. And the
Right.
thing a parent intends, there we go, intentions. The thing
Intention.
a parent intends is
Mm-hmm.
not always what the child picks up. Do you think that there may have been some of those great intentions, but as it came to you, it was not perceived in the way it was intended?
Definitely. Definitely. That was my cousin. My cousin named Jermaine Bunch.
Mm-hmm.
And would run with us and do things with us. But he always brought home A's, A's
Mm-hmm.
and B's.
Mm-hmm.
And my parents would be like, more like, why can't you be more like Jermaine?
Mm-hmm.
Why can't you be like Jermaine? Why can't you do this? Why can't you go to school, do what you got, do what you're supposed to do, come home and bring home good grades? So at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, I know now, they meant well, but I
Right.
either like well, why don't y'all just go and adopt Jermaine? you
Right. Mm-hmm.
You know, I can't do it. I'm not Jermaine, so I can't do it. So, since Jermaine is better than me, then I always looked at that Jermaine was better than me because Jermaine got better grades, you know, or they like Jermaine better than me. I'm their own son, you know,
Mm-hmm.
that
Right.
comparison that stuck with me for a long time.
Yes. Yes.
Even
Yes.
after I left and joined the army, it was a comparison thing, you
Mm-hmm.
know. Well, that person is better than me. That's why they got promoted, you know. And I'll sit right there and just waddle in it, and it'll we'll talk about it when me and Kale get on, if we do get on that subject, about every time a promotion come and I was looked over, how did it make me feel?
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that would be tied back to, as a child, I was always compared,
Right.
but I know
Person.
they just wanted me to get good grades, you know.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. And
So,
probably from the way they saw it, this is somebody you're with all the time.
mm,
You see what he's doing.
yeah.
The thing is, you can do it too,
Hmm.
but by the time it hits your ears, it's I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not here. When it was their way of encouraging,
Hmm.
but you perceived it as anything but. And even when Kel and I were talking before, it's like we want to be able to, I feel like even with every generation, because nobody gets it all right,
Right.
but each generation be able to, I guess, kind of see it from another point of view than just the parent,
Mm,
but to actually remember what it felt like. And we said there were, because there were, the generations past, they wasn't sitting down thinking about how this is affecting me and what my, like, you better suck it up and keep moving.
right. Keep moving.
And yeah, so I don't think they even allowed themselves to ponder
Hmm.
what types of decisions or what types of or the way it made them feel about themselves or
Yeah.
how it impacted their decisions. I just personally, I don't even think that was a thing. I
Yeah.
don't.
I don't even know if we was allowed to feel growing up. That's
Right.
it. I don't know, because it was the way my dad and mom ran the house. It was with an iron fist. It's, don't even have a facial expression.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
way to
And
get slapped.
they dearly love. But
Hmm.
like you said, it is just this is the way we were brought up, and I
Hmm.
turned out all right. So now, thankfully, I was a pretty good girl in front of them. Anyway, I wasn't very bad till, like I said, college. Whoo, college dug up stuff I didn't even know was in there.
Right,
But
right.
so I didn't get a lot of whoopings, but whoopings we had them in the house. I
Hmm.
was just on the younger end of my family.
Yeah,
So it was a little different for me, but yeah, and none of this is ever said to bash parents.
right.
It is just said to show how, what the environment that we grow up in, it
Hmm.
absolutely shapes us.
Yeah.
It absolutely shapes our thinking about ourselves, about those the people around us, about, like I said, especially how we see
Yeah.
ourselves.
Just
So
how we
I'm
move,
sorry.
like the
Mm-hmm.
decision we make, whether we want to go here or go there. Like it affects so much that you don't even realize it.
Right,
Why you decided not to go down that road is
right.
because, it's almost like muscle. Well, something down there reminded me of, no, I don't want to go down there. We're just not going down. Okay.
Yes, yes,
We're
right.
just move because I said so, you
Mm-hmm.
know, without a real reason behind it.
Right.
Uh, yeah, a lot of that. I'll let you go ahead. Yeah.
You're good. You good. This your story. I'm just,
Well,
feeling
now I guess
connected.
I was gonna say a lot of that. It stunt my growth in a lot of ways. Well, not, I won't say a lot of ways. Maybe just military wise. At the beginning of my military career, it was um I was I was reminded of a lot of things growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, like just some of the name calling. I was
Mm.
a baby. Let
You
me
were
put that
what?
out.
You said you were what?
I was the baby of the family.
Okay, okay.
But a lot of things, and I see it in my kids now, but a lot of things reminded me of just growing up being that being that person,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't want to be there. So I would mask it with a lot of other stuff, and that's when I really picked up on smoking,
Okay.
and all that other stuff. But partying stuff that I knew I wasn't supposed to get involved with, I did it
Mm-hmm.
uh, just because. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Because we start running from feelings.
Hmm.
Like I said, we don't have the equipment a lot of times as young people. And even as older people, if we don't consciously make a decision that I'm
Hmm.
going to sit in this and I'm going to go beyond this surface feeling to see where it's coming from. Because it was like you said, when you're like, this road, do I want to go down this road? Why don't I want to go down there? Oh, I just don't want to go down there. Because
Yeah.
it's just a feeling that we associate with. And we like, I'm good on that.
Yeah.
Don't want to feel that no more. So yeah, we just going somewhere else.
Hmm. Yeah.
And it takes maturity to begin to sit in it
Hmm.
because in the beginning it's a running game.
Hmm.
And when we run from something, we run to something.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
when we don't know it, even we can be unaware. It's a subconscious thing. And then at some point it just becomes, oh, this is just what I'm gonna do.
Hmm. Yeah.
There's a rebellion. I feel like at times there's a resistance to what our parents want us to do. And then there comes a time when there's a rebellion.
Hmm. Yeah.
And that those things take us into more and more danger. So I know you said like in middle school, you just kind of the class clown, things happening. But by ninth grade, it was really affecting your academics and everything even
Yeah.
more because you said you were failing ninth grade and then you finally passed. So what did and ninth grade just sixth grade, like middle school, that first year of middle school, the first year of ninth grade, I mean, the first year of high school, and the first year of college, those are the times when students are most at risk.
Hmm.
It's that transition period. And
Yeah.
so much is happening till a lot of times that's when you're going to lose people. That's when major changes happen. So when you made it to ninth grade, what did that look like for you?
I failed it first when I went to ninth grade. What did it look like?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I don't know. It looked like a carnival.
Okay.
It looked like fun, you
Okay.
know. Um, and it wasn't so much that I didn't know the work. I just wanted to be involved with all the fun. Forget the work. I just wanted to do all the fun stuff. Like
Mm-hmm.
the school bus rides was a lot longer than, than middle school. So we put up a little longer on the school buses,
Right.
forward to riding the bus to school. You
Mm-hmm.
know, once we got there, I look forward to meeting up with my guys, with some of the friends, and then going places out that's not on the school grounds. And then that's when the girls started looking a little different in
Right.
ninth. So I wanted to get involved with them and see what that was all about.
Right.
So that was that first year of high school. Like, it was dressing different, and folks we was changing classes. So I was always seeing people in hallways, and just, it was everything. And then my brother,
He's gonna get you.
brother didn't make it no better. Okay, I ain't trying to point fingers at him, but when he was supposed to be in the 12th grade.
Mm-hmm.
But when you get to the ninth grade and then you go to homeroom and your brother in there, it's
Okay.
it's like, okay, I'm finna cut up now.
Right. Right.
I'm
Well,
rolling. I'm going with this guy, and
uh-huh.
he's been there for 3 years. So it's like, come on, Joe, let me go show you this. And it, not saying he was a bad influence,
I get it.
but he was doing some bad influencing.
I'm not gonna say he's a bad influence, but he was a bad
Yeah, he influenced me badly. But
influence.
yeah, I made the decision. I own up to all that.
Right.
I
Right.
made the go with him. I knew what we was doing was wrong. So,
Right.
I just chose to go with him.
Mm-hmm.
And we got into more stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't until I was threatened to get pulled out of school, that's when I decided to do the work. But it was too late. I had already failed all my stuff. And then
Oh,
I repeated the ninth grade.
okay. Was there any difference the second time?
The second time, yeah, because I mean, the second time I had been through there, and I was embarrassed because the people that I went to school with had moved forward to the 10th grade, and here I am still stuck in the ninth. So I went on and got the work done. Went to the 10th grade, and then at that point, I was hopeless. Well, I wouldn't say hopeless. I thought that I maybe would be able to catch up and graduate with my class,
Mm-hmm.
but it didn't work. I was too far behind,
Okay.
so I ended up
Did
failing.
I'm sorry, go ahead. You ended up what?
I ended up failing the 10th grade, and well, just before I failed, my dad pulled me out of school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you point to anything as as you reminisce, as you think back? Is there anything that you can point to that, because it went from let's have fun, so it went from joking to, although I know it wasn't the word and I don't feel like it was the word you intended to use, but it came out that you just kind of felt hopeless.
Mhm.
That that's a leap. I mean, of course it's not, because there were some things going on underneath that had all the stuff, coming out, all the joking and everything. What made that thing flip flop? Is there anything you can like point to or remember that kind of changed your outlook?
I don't know if I can pinpoint anything. You mean like from joking to being serious, or just joking to like?
Because it sounds like depression was almost coming in, is what it sounds like when you say hopeless. Because
Mhm.
you say, I 10th grade, I was just hopeless. And then you said, well, no, I wouldn't say hopeless. But so there was some kind of darkness.
I was hoping that I would be able to catch up with my peers that I did go to ninth grade with and graduate with them. But I realized, as reality set in, I was too far behind.
Okay.
And so I guess I used a hopeless term in there, but
As
uh,
far as moving forward with your class.
going back with my class, it
Okay.
would that that took a toll for a while. It took a toll, and then I was embarrassed. But my brother had went through it also. He failed somehow. He failed the fourth grade. So he kind of coached and helped me through it. Like, man, it's all right. You'll be all right. You'll be good.
Mhm.
And then my dad pulled him out of school first, and then I went to the 10th grade, and then I didn't have my brother. at
Mm.
school. So it was just like hearing what folks were saying about my brother. You know, he quit school and all this, and Fred this and Fred that, and it was I didn't have my best friend. You know, so the 10th grade wasn't a good year for me because it was dry. I didn't have my brother to run with me, and I want to do the work even though I knew it. I wanted to go where he was at,
Mm-hmm.
and so that my dad pulled me out of school out of the 10th grade.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it is an adequate description, I guess, but when you were talking just now about, how your brother was gone, how your classmates were kind of gone, you weren't with them. Um, it reminded me of, again, looking at it through a younger person's eyes, it reminded me of how the Lord showed me, because I realized I was grown. I was probably late 30s, early 40s. And I realized there was this feeling of abandonment that I would get sometimes. And I didn't realize it was abandonment until I kept saying, what is this feeling?
Yeah.
What is this? And it was like, there was a new friend, which later the Lord was like, that wasn't your friend, that was your assignment. But there was
Mm-hmm.
a new friend that I had. And we had just been sharing, talking, and you know, I remember speaking with him, and it was strictly platonic, but I remember speaking with him even about, some of my younger days, and just saying how, when things don't happen sometimes, or like sometimes I don't want to connect.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to feel that, but I didn't know what that was. And so I kind of started praying about it, because I was like, I didn't even realize this was an issue. And so I
Yeah.
started praying about it. And I said I would feel like if something's supposed to go through, and if we're supposed to go through with something and it falls through, I feel like I would see myself like when they have the picture of the little boy sitting on the stoop, waiting on his dad to come pick him up for the weekend, and he never shows. I would feel like that. And I was like, what is that? I grew up the youngest of 9 kids, mom and dad in the home. So what's that? And I really started seeking God about, what is this feeling? How in the world would I feel abandoned? And
Mm-hmm.
so one day, the Lord told me, he said, in my quiet time that morning, he was like, whatever comes up today, whatever.
Thanks so much for joining us today. If you've been blessed by today's show, feel free to let us know. And if you'd like to sow into this ministry, become a sponsor, or contact us, you can reach us at 803-221-0169. Or you can email us at the SSBBshow@gmail.com. Let's continue this journey together.